Okay, it's 6:30. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And we are going to open up. I'm rather tired of Hinei Matov because we do that all the time. So what we're going to do is turn to page 24. We're going to do Shalom Aleichem. It will be, we'll do the first three and, not Shalom Aleichem, excuse me, that's not what I wanted. Lecha Dodi, excuse me, page 20. And we'll do the first two, verse 5 and verse 9. And verse 9 will stand and face east. Page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad L'shem ultiferet velit hila Lecha Dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu unelcha Ki mekor habracha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aser machshavat techila Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Hit oreri Kiva orech umi ori Uri Shir da beiri Kevod Adonai alecha v'nigla Lecha Dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela Bo'i v'shalom ateret bala Gam v'simcha uv'tzahala Toch emunei am segula Bo'i chala Lecha Dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. Friend, you might as well come on up. We're going to go to page 3 where we're going to bless the candles.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. That works too.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you. We're going to turn to page 6. And we're going to read responsively. Responsively, not responsibly. Sorry for that. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness, pride, envy, and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. We're going to turn to page 28 for the Barhu. Please rise. Ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Ba'ed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Ba'ed. Please be seated. We're going to go to page 30, and we'll read together in English in the middle of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We will go to page 32 now. And we will do Ahavat Olam together. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu Uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratcha U'mitzvotecha le'olam ba'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu. Uvahem nege yomam balayla, nege yomam balayla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu leolamim. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. Please rise for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. And we'll go to page 36, where we will do one of my, by the way, the Shema and this prayer are part of, later on, the Devar Torah. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha Bechol levavcha, uvechol nafshecha, uvechol meodecha, vehayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha, hayom al levavecha, veshinantam levanecha, vedibarta bam, veshiftecha beveitecha, Uvlechtecha vaderech, uveshokvecha ukumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtaftam al muzizot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tiskiru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, Vitem Kedoshim Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeti Etchem Mi Eretz Mitzrayim, Leot Lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet. Go to page 39. And I want to do the top of the page responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. On page 40, we will join together in the Michamocha. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh, Norah tehilot, Osefele מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקר לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Page 43. We'll do this in the middle of the page, and we'll read this together. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth, for with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We'll turn to page 44, where we will do Yismechu together. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shevi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbeu, Ve'yitangu b'tuvecha Shabbat, Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, Korei oneg Shabbat, Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat. Vashvi'i ratzito bo v'kidashto Shabbat, Chemdad yamim, Oto karata Shabbat, Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat, Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher Lema'aseh Bereshit Shabbat, Zecher Lema'aseh Bereshit Shabbat, Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat, Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat. Okay, we're going to go to page 46 where it says tefillah. I always refer to it as the Amidah. That's what I was taught in day school. And Amidah means standing. So I know you're happy about this, Wes, but Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufia Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Anorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rab LeHoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berakamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim, Ulmatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umidom Elat, Melech Meimit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman Atah L'chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol, Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yalucha Selah, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We're going to turn to page 55, and we'll go at the top of the page, and we'll read this together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We will read together on page 57 in the middle of the page, again together. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch Atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. I'm going to recite the first paragraph of this prayer on page 58 in the Hebrew, and then we will, in the middle of it, read the English. Modim anachnu lach she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu le'olam va'ed tzur chayenu magen yish'enu ata hu ledor vador. Together, we acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. Page 59, the top of the page, we read together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of our soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. On page 60, we will sing Shalom Rav together. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Just as a side note, my violinist in Lost Tribe, this is his favorite prayer that we do, to the point that even though he's not Jewish, he took over for me singing that, as he has a much nicer voice than I do. But he memorized it. I don't memorize anything other than the Shema. And he actually has this memorized and sings it beautifully. I'm going to reverse order on something here. We're going to do the silent prayer now. And then we'll go into Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav uya'aseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. We'll turn to page 253. And of course, this is the Misha Beirach, where basically we're requesting God's blessing to heal the sick, and the people that this week we are wishing for improvement in health. Lev Dickerman, Teresa Todd, Jim Todd, Aaron McElvin, Terry Anderson, Rivka Batfrimit, Lisa Duval, Joel Gendron, Maggie Barbieri, Ellen Stein, Leela Wilson, Paul Tackett, LMPD Officer Nick Wilt, Eric Gershkovich, Mick Savkovich, Al Unger, Janet Elke, Margaret Phillips, Yosef Avraham Yehoshua Ben Bela Liba, Linda McCarty, Beth Haberman. If there's anyone else you would like to add as I point to you, please feel free to add the names. Together. Mi sheberach avoteinu b'kor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu b'kor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. The Torah portion today is something called Va'et Hanan. It has various meanings. One is prayer. Well, normally we think of Lehit Palel, which means prayer. And there's some rabbis who say Lehit Palel. You need it louder? Okay. There's some that say that Lehit Palel means to ask for something from God that you have earned or that you deserve, whereas Lehit Chanen means to ask for an unearned gift. In modern Hebrew, Lehit Chanen means to beg. And it starts with Moses asking God, literally begging, to allow him to cross into the promised land. And of course, we know from the Bible that Moses was never allowed to cross into the promised land. And literally, he was begging God to let him. He was allowed to go up on the mountain and look at it, but he was not allowed to pass. But it's interesting that that's the name of the parsha, because that's not the most important part of the parsha at all. After he realized that he was not going to continue to lead the children of Israel, and he was not going to be allowed to lead the new generation, as the old generation that had come out of Egypt had died out on purpose. This was something that God decreed, that it was going to be their children that crossed into, but not them. He proceeded to instruct Joshua. In addition, he laid out God's commandments. The 10 Commandments were reiterated. The Shema was reiterated. In addition, when we read the Vahavta, those were part of the instructions that Moses gave the children of Israel. Every time you read that, that's what you're reading. Well, when I looked to my sources, and I looked at several, most of them were concerned with Moses begging God, Va'et Hanan. Well, I read the Parsha, and that's not what it struck me as being its most important part. So I looked, and after looking at several interpretations, I went to my favorite source, Chief Rabbi Sachs, who, as usual, bailed me out. Okay. Now, most of the time in the Bible, we're talking about what or how, what the commandment is and how it is to be performed. It's not often that we get into why. And that's the critical thing about this parsha, is it goes into the why. You know, one of the things that have been mentioned is many people talk about what or how. Great leaders start with why, and that's what makes them transformative. Now, with this, what makes Abrahamic monotheism different from other faiths is that there is an answer to why. The Israelites were still in the desert. They hadn't entered the land. They had no military advantages. And if you looked at them from afar, they were just one other tribe, only a group of people that had their own traditions and beliefs. However, this is the language that Moses used. Ask now about the former days, long before your time, from the day God created human beings on the earth. Ask from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything so great as this ever happened? Or has anything like it ever been heard of? Has any other people heard the voice of God speaking out of fire as you have and lived? Has any God ever tried to take for himself one nation out of another nation by miracles, signs, and wonders, by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, or by great and awesome deeds, like the things the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? Moses was convinced that Jewish history was and will remain unique. Why did God choose? And the answer Moses gave, because he loved your ancestors and chose their descendants after them. It was an act of love from God. That is why. God loved Abraham, not least because Abraham loved God. God loved Abraham's children because they were his children, and he promised the patriarch he would bless and protect them. Now, the other thing is, earlier, Moses had given a different kind of answer. You see, I have taught you decrees and laws as the Lord my God has commanded me. Made it sound like another what and how. Observe them carefully, for this is your wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the nations, who will hear about all these decrees and say, surely this great nation was a wise and understanding people. Going right back to the Vahavta. Why did God, or Moses for that matter, care whether or not nations saw Israel's laws as wise and understanding? You know, Judaism was and is a love story between God and a particular people. What's the rest of the world got to do with it? Judaism was never meant for Jews alone. In his first words to Abraham, God already said, I will bless those who bless you, and those who curse you I will curse. Though through you all the families of the earth will be blessed. Jews were to be a source of blessing and an inspiration to the world. God is the God of all humanity. In Genesis, he spoke to Adam, Eve, Cain, Noah, made a covenant with all humankind before he made one with Abraham. Remember, the rainbow is the sign to Noah. There's nothing that suggests that God is indifferent to the nations of the world. And God is concerned with all humanity. Therefore, what we do as Jews makes a difference to humanity, not just in a mystical sense, but exemplars of what it means to love and be loved by God. To me, all the rest is but commentary. But I absolutely loved that explanation, and I felt compelled to share it with all of you. Now for the announcements. And by the way, when I'm done with them, if there's anything that needs to be added, anything that was omitted, please say something. Shabbat services begin tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Temple Shalom Day at the J, Sunday, August 6th at 11:30 a.m. We are going to the new Traeger Family Jewish Community Center tour and lunch, followed by a silent disco and more. I'm not quite sure what a silent disco is, and I'm afraid to ask. That's better than what I was envisioning. Okay. Louisville Beit Sefer Yachad, LBSY, a community school with students from Adas Jeshurun, Knesset, and Temple Shalom, is looking for energetic and creative teachers for the 2023-24 school year. Classes meet Sundays 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and Wednesdays 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. If you're interested, you can contact Bev Weinberg, the head of the school, at 502-802-3855, or email her at lbsy.bev@gmail.com. Obviously, nobody's going to remember that, so if you are interested, this is going to be up here on the Bima. Pardon? I know. Okay. Okay, save the date for the 10th annual Give for Good Louisville on Thursday, September 14th, 2023. More details coming. In the Enlightened Self-Interest department, I mentioned this the other day to a few people. Lost Tribe will be performing twice on Labor Day weekend. The one that I recommend is Saturday night at Solas Tecas, the Mexican restaurant on Taylorsville Road, right across the street from Kroger's. Why? Because it's indoors, and you can sit and eat. Because the next day we'll be playing outdoors at World Fest, and the way the heat has been on Labor Day weekends, I don't want anybody coming out. There's going to be enough people that'll come out anyway that are younger than all of us and can put up with the heat. Well, yeah, you're right. It's on Bardstown Road. As many times as I've played there, you'd think I'd know. I mean, not just with Lost Tribe. That's the funny thing. I've probably played there close to 10 times. But it's on Bardstown Road near the Taylorsville Road intersection across from the Kroger's. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Okay. Are there anything else? Oh, yeah, bingo. Okay. You do realize there'll be some people that are really furious about this time change. But again, in case you didn't hear it, we have also we have bingo on Monday nights. We need all the volunteers we can get. I know, but I'm going to include it, but I was going to forget it if I didn't mention it. And as John said, there's a men's club breakfast on August 13th, and Carrie Kaplan will be speaking, and it will start at 9 instead of 10 o'clock. If you see bruises on me, it's because I woke my wife up on the one day she can sleep in. Okay, we are done with announcements. Given the time and the fact that, believe it or not, it's not that important a prayer, we are going to skip Aleinu, and we're going to go, it's really not. Trust me, I was raised among the docks. We're going to go to page 291. And we're going to read responsively at the top of page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breadth of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. Our thoughts will turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we remember the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. At this time, we remember, and by the way, if you're observing Yortzeit tonight, you're welcome to stand. We now remember Marcy Hyman, wife of Alan Hyman, Ida Levine, mother of Ellen Goldwyn, Bessie Meller, mother of Hetty Title, grandmother of Stacy Waller, Becky Wallace, mother of David Wallace, Helen Weiss, mother of Fran Gersh. The records of those with plaques and no observers: Robert B. Cheney, Edmund Venetianer. We take them into our hearts as we all rise and recite Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam leolmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. By the way, to clear something up, I made a statement just now that aleinu is not that important. That was a poor choice of words, but there are core prayers, and it's not considered one of the core prayers traditionally. Now, I hope I didn't offend anyone, but the ones that I was raised to believe were core prayers, I always do. Because I am also not exactly thrilled with the idea of doing Bim Bam one more time, I made a promise to myself, and Sheila and I have made a pact that we're going to go to some of the other tunes that people know. On the bottom of page 341, we're going to do Lo Yisa Goy El Goy Cherev, which is a wonderful peace song. Nation shall take up sword against nation. They shall never again study war. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Shabbat Shalom.